Welcome everyone to another episode of Bill on Bikes. We're hanging out in my facility, the motorcycle garage in Phoenix, Arizona. As usual, it's hot. It's probably 118 today. But again, I love the heat and hate the cold, so bring it on. Anyway, what do we have here? 2006 Harley-Davidson Nostalgia, FLSTN. Again, one of my favorite models. I love Softails. Anyway, charging issue. We've already checked out the battery with our Midtronics tester. Battery's good, it's not charging. If you want to see specifically how to use this tester, if you go back to an earlier video called The Lost Episode, you will actually see my buddy Todd B. Wilson showing you how to use that tester, which is towards probably 3/4 of the way through the video. Not charging. Already took our multimeter, tested the stator output. We're not getting anything out of the stator. And you can remove the inspection cover on the other side, and you can smell that burnt oil. I also noticed when I pulled the stator plug, and I'll bring you around the other side to show you, when I pulled it apart, you'll see a lot of oil came out of the connector. Now most of you might say, well, the oil filter's above it and that's from changing the oil, and it's not. Now that we're on the other side of the motorcycle, you can see this is the stator plug, this is where it goes into the regulator. When I pull this apart, you'll see some oil pooled here. So what happens is, believe it or not, over time, as the bikes get older, and oil will transfer actually where the core of the wire is, between the core and the outer covering, and transfer into the plug. That can cause some issues down the road. Obviously, we're going to replace in the stator anyway. And on earlier bikes, and not the Softails, but on FL's, Road Kings, and it was in the Evo days actually. What is Twin Cam 2? Possibly, but definitely Evo days. There was a service bulletin, and I could look it up. Maybe I will before the end of this video to show you. But where you have a cross member here, the stator plug would again run underneath the bike. We had so much oil transfer that it would just pour out of the plug. So what the motor company wanted us to do was cut the ties, reroute it, and then we would put the plug up here on that cross member. And then obviously the oil can't travel up, so we didn't have any leak. Just kind of something that would happen in the shop, and what we had to do to fix it. So we're going to disassemble this, take you along. You can watch us do it. We'll find out what's going on with the stator. I can tell by the stinkiness of this oil. I mean, it stinks. Burnt oil, electrical burnt oil is just awful. Any of you guys that have smelt it, you know what I'm talking about. So I have that smell. It's permeating the whole shop. We'll get in there, see what's going on, and we'll end up changing out the regulator also, because I don't like how the plug looked. It looks slightly burnt, so we're going to change that out also. Stick around and watch us as we go along. Thanks. Anybody that works on any type of machinery and has these decorative caps, they are a pain in the ass. You have to take the time, get them out. Sometimes they don't want to come out easily. Then you got to try to get them out with like some sort of screwdriver, or like this one doesn't want to come out. And you have to be so careful not to scratch anything. It wouldn't be the first time I accidentally scratched a chrome cover. And I don't see any on the bottom. There was this company, and then there's another one called Hot Toppers, where it actually goes over the complete head of the screw. And those, I pretty much just pull those off with pliers and destroy them and put new ones on, because they're such a hassle. And we got one to go. Get my favorite tool out. My little modified screwdriver. Works great for a lot of different things. Look at that. Pop that right out of there. Dunzo. Love that screwdriver. As you can see, the stator's burnt. You see some darkness here, some burnt area here on the coil, on the winding. You also see the wire, the inner core is exposed. That also helps with that oil transfer to the end of the plug. So this is shot. I'm also going to call my client and suggest changing out the transmission seal, countershaft seal, and the update to the S&S inner primary race, because this one even looks like it has walked in towards the main drive gear. So I may have to actually grind this one a little bit and pull it off. So I'll give him a quick call, and if everything is a go, we will clean this all up and start reassembly. You might have noticed when I was removing the inner primary race that I had a snap-on thermal imager on it, and what that does is it lets me know when I have this up to 200 degrees. It makes it a lot easier to remove it from the main shaft. Also, here's our main transmission seal I have out, and the main drive gear seal. This sits inside the main drive gear itself and stops oil from flowing past the main shaft. Quad seal, this sits behind this race. This has a taper to it. This sits behind the race, again, where the transmission seal sits. And the shift shaft seal, I've also removed that. So we're going to install new parts and start the reassembly. And I just want to show you all the parts that we'll be replacing in this project as we're upgrading the charging system, which isn't here yet. Hopefully it'll be delivered tomorrow. You know, ever since the pandemic, you would think delivery and products would be available, but it's still not great. So I'm not really sure what's up with that, but we'll see. Anyway, transmission main seal, inner primary seal, starter jack shaft seal, counter shaft seal, our 11147B for the inner primary O-ring, quad seal for the transmission, new snap ring for the clutch adjuster, also a new nut for the clutch adjuster. When these get a little buggered up like the stock one is, I like to replace them. New primary gasket, inspection cover gasket, and shifter shaft seal, the lock plate and the thrust plate with the built-in kind of an O-ring setup for the starter jack shaft. Also, you'll notice an inner primary, updated S&S inner primary race, the one that is stepped and will not walk on the shaft. Also, when I'm doing a project like this, I use Harley seal grease on all these seals. It will help them wear in better, less chance of leaking. You're not getting that at the dealership. They're not taking that time, unfortunately. They're in a hurry. Here, I can take more time and really make sure I'm doing the job correctly, and I don't want it. I try to minimize my comebacks. If I have 1 out of 100, I would say that's about what I have for comebacks. It's not too often that I have something go wrong. It does happen, but not that often. Also, the inner primary I want to show you. Obviously, you can see where the starter jack shaft seal was leaking. There's a lot of gunk around there, and we do have some residual oil around the inner primary seal. So all this gets replaced. So I got to clean all this up. Hopefully the charging system, like I said, will be here tomorrow. And I also use all S&S products here. This is their primary oil, and I use this is 80W140 gear oil for the tranny. Also, I have another good project coming up for you. We're going to be installing a Baker grudge box in another episode. So we've ordered that today. It's on the way. And we're going to get this cleaned up and we'll start the reassembly.